Hi, I'm Sierra, and today we're going to be turning my three-legged cat into Pennywise. Despite Stephen King's quirks, I'm a huge fan of his work. I've read about 13 of his books so far, which honestly doesn't even scratch the surface of his collection. Now, maybe you don't care about Stephen King at all, but I'm guessing you know this guy. Not literally this guy, but this guy. Pennywise the Dancing Clown. He's a shape-shifting monster who feeds on children, plaguing them with fear before doing so, because the fear they emit makes them even more flavorful. He's also a being from a dark dimension that somehow crash-landed on Earth inside an asteroid in the 16th century, whose true earthly form is a giant pregnant hairy spider, and inside that is his ultimate form, which is a bunch of small glowing lights called the deadlights that cause insanity on a mere viewing. His natural nemesis is also a godlike turtle. Oh! Okay, I mean, yeah. Quirky, right? Ugh. Okay, enough lore dumping. You get the picture. So, how am I turning my cat into Pennywise? Like this! Yeah, I'm just gonna take a funny photo of her. Just a cute little picture, yeah. What did you think I was gonna do? Okay, don't click away just because you've already seen a cat dressed as Pennywise, all right? Listen, I showed this image to quite a few people, and I honestly got really mixed reactions. I mean, don't get me wrong, some people definitely thought it was cool, and others just kind of stared at it for too long, and I guess the novelty wore off. To critique my own work here, there's a lot going on. The text is massive, there's a giant glowing hole in the wall, and then the subject is in the lower third of the photo. I just feel as though all of those components are competing for your attention instead of naturally leading your eyes through the photo. Also, I took this photo for a photographic lighting class, and I definitely put the least amount of effort into the lighting. All right, so I'm going to start over, but this time my process is going to be different. I'm not just going to be winging things. I'm going to recreate an exact still from Andy Muschietti 2017 movie adaptation of It. This is the frame I've chosen. It's from a scene where the losers properly meet Pennywise inside what is referred to colloquially as the house on the Bolt Street. So, how am I going to recreate an old-ass house and shove my three-legged cat in there? Building this set is going to be pretty involved. So I started by taking some Katara measurements. Oh, no. Not that Katara. My Katara. Though, yes, she does get her namesake from that show. So back to the measurements. My set needs to be Katara-sized. This had its challenges. She's a bit skittish and didn't love the tape measure, but we pursued. Katara's sitting height from where her head is off the ground is about 11 to 13 inches. Her length when she's fully standing is about 14-ish from tail to head. Laying down, she's still about 14 inches long, though with an extended leg, probably closer to 20. And her width when laying down is about 6 to 7. Yeah, my girl's a little thicky. And before you worry, we have taken her to the vet. They are not worried about her weight. She's totally fine. Don't come for me. With these measurements, I created a rough sketch to estimate how big I wanted the set to be. Keeping that reference photo in mind, we're going to have 3 walls, with her as the subject sitting in the middle. For the back wall, I'm going with a gracious 28 inches in length. Here's the thing. My subject is a sentient being who, to a certain extent, has some level of free will.
and I can't communicate with her. That's a long-winded way of saying she's gonna move, and I can't stop her from doing that.
Because the nature of this set is somewhat enclosed, I don't want to put her in this predetermined space, and then if it's too small, she just has to deal with it. I want my set to be able to adapt to what my camera needs to capture, and what her mood happens to be that day. So the side walls are going to be 24 inches in length to get some much needed depth. They won't be attached, that way we can move them in and out as needed. For the height of everything, I'm going with 24 inches also, because better for it to be too tall than too short.
Before we really start, I wanted to mock everything up with a cardboard box to make sure all my guesstimations would work. This involved a lot of cardboard and a lot of measuring and so much cutting. And yes, I did make this process harder by using scissors instead of just buying some X-Acto knives.
In the end, it was so worth it. I mean, as you can see, I created a perfect replica. The cuts were so clean. It created this incredibly stable, dare I say, flawless model that I could use to make my set to a T. No adjustments necessary at all. So the moment I had some idea of what I was doing, I went straight to Home Depot to buy plywood.
All right, the look of this wood is nice, but these are definitely not the walls of some creepy, rotting house that the amalgamation of evil chills in from time to time. So we gotta age this wood.
Lucky for me, my dad has done all sorts of these projects over the years. Could I have researched this myself? Yes. Did I blindly follow his instructions because it was easier and I trusted him? Also, yes.
It all started with some vinegar. He told me to bring vinegar to a boiling point, and then once it somewhat cools, I could pour it into a container and soak incredibly fine steel wool into it.
Then I let it sit for God knows how long, and it created that sickening slush. From this angle, bro, this looks like something that came straight out of Pennywise's body. I don't know where it came from. I don't want to know, but it was now time to apply our concoction to the wood. Now, I destroyed my house to make room for this. I got everything ready for me to work, carefully put the wood in its place, and then it was at that point that my dad told me I had bought plywood that was painted.
Apparently, I wasn't supposed to do that. I don't know why. He probably told me back then. I don't remember now. I just know I did it, and I wasn't supposed to.
He told me it probably wouldn't take the vinegar solution, but we tried it, and I mean, some sort of chemistry did happen. So over the course of a week, I drenched all 3 boards in 3 to 4 layers of thick vinegar. I applied even layers, I left puddles on spots that needed it, I added more in other areas so it looked uneven and hopefully therefore more natural. There were some parts of the wood that absolutely could not be penetrated, but I think it ultimately added to the overall look and feel with some pretty interesting contrast. Although it was looking pretty dingy at this point, he then recommended to add a final touch of black wood stainer. He showed me a method that was like airbrushing, but with paper towels. One hand lightly painted on the stainer. The other would hold a dry paper towel that I used to spread and rub the paint in, creating this really cool effect. I then went in and sealed everything with a coat of flat sealer. And no, I don't have footage of that because I made the critical mistake of doing that inside my very small house, which gave me a really intense headache, which then led me to panic Google wood stain poisoning symptoms. And then I just laid in my bed hoping I wouldn't vomit and kind of like mentally spiraling. And I didn't vomit. So I did lose some brain cells. But considering the fact that I chose to do that inside, like, maybe they weren't there to begin with. With the quick trim of the pieces that would become the walls, everything came together. Obviously, it's a bit bigger than expected, but I'd rather it be too big than too small. At the time, it was barely held together by household items because I'm just a professional like that. Next, I needed to figure out the size of my windows in relation to the size of my set. I initially tried this in my cardboard set, and then honestly just moved on without ever fully finishing it, but we're out and back. I pretty much just guessed and checked different sizes that had proportions I wanted to properly recreate the stained glass that's shown in the movie. Moving the walls in helped make things more clear, and I even threw Katara in for a test shot. Do you guys see the vision? I mean, come on. She's like the spitting image of Pennywise the clown, don't you? Did you see it? All right, so before we put in the windows, we have to first take care of the wall. Wait. Why does it say we're putting on wallpaper? That doesn't make any sense. No. Why did I stain the wood if I was just gonna put wallpaper on it? My house was completely unfunctional for a week. It still smells like vinegar. Why am I covering up all the work I just did? Guys, I'm adding character. I'm adding aura. It's an old house from the 50s or 80s, depending on what timeline you're in. So, wallpaper, yay! Okay, seriously though, in this shot, in the scene I'm referencing, you can see the set designers did put wallpaper peeling off the wall, so let's give it a shot, right? I'm sure it won't take too long, right? I ended up buying a vinyl wallpaper off of Amazon that felt old-fashioned and tacky looking enough to fit the vibe I was going for. This was supposed to just take water to stick on, but to no one's surprise, that didn't work. So I used a traditional wallpaper paste to stick it on. After letting that dry, I then took various grades of steel wool to sand it down a bit. I don't really know if this did anything monumental other than scratch it up, but certainly felt like I was doing something, so whatever. Hey, that wallpaper is really shiny. I'm sure that won't be a problem. No, really, it won't. I thought it would be. I even bought a whole other product to remove the shine, but turns out all I needed was that wood stainer. Using the airbrushing technique, not only was I able to age it, but because it was matte, it completely took the shine away. Now it was time to rip. I wanted there to be rips in the wall from the wallpaper rotting after so many years. I finally bought myself a set of X-Acto knives and started ripping, but as you can see, not much was happening. So I believe I made the critical mistake of letting the wallpaper marinate too long on the wood. I know this because when I'd rip the wallpaper, most of it was still attached to the wood, and that's fine, that creates a cool effect, but I still wanted part of the wood to be visible. So not only did I have to go through and rip, but then I had to go back in, wet the leftover wallpaper, and scratch it out with an X-Acto knife. For 3 boards, this only took
Yeah. Yeah, that was hours. Hours. I was the one that did that. Okay, now the wallpaper sticking out that got ripped looks tattered, but not exactly old. So we have to age that too, or else it's gonna look weird. To do that, I took black chai tea and individually painted the tea onto every single piece that was showing. And although that did create a cool effect, I honestly thought it wasn't good enough. So I did another layer with the tea, mixed with some leftover vinegar solution. And at that point, ladies and gentlemen, I knew I got something I could work with. We're not done yet, but I really wish we were, because I've been in this fight for so long. Alright guys, lastly, I'm finally making the windows. The plan is to do something called faux stained glass, which is a cheaper way to recreate a stained glass look without needing any of the technical skills. All I need is some glass paint and some acrylic to achieve this look. So, our reference photo isn't really giving me a whole lot to work with. I know that there's stained glass back there, but I can't really make out what's going on, so the plan is to just wing it and I'll make my own design. Okay, well, I did find this clip on YouTube. My reference photo is a teaser image released before the movie came out, but this is an actual still in the final cut of the movie. Here, the highlights are turned down and I can actually make out every detail really well. I guess I could like screenshot it, plug it into Illustrator, outline and color in every single shape, and I mean I would have to adjust for proportion, but I would have a super accurate guide that I could like print out and use to make my stained glass, and then I'd have the exact pattern from the movie. But dude, like that is so much work. The walls, I'm not doing that. Oh, God damn. You know, I'm gonna tell you something. I wrote this script as I made this project, and not once, not even once did it occur to me. The floor. I must have lost so many brain cells from that wood stain, because the floor was seen in every test shot I did. I knew this. I knew the floor would be seen. It was in my original photo. I don't know why I hadn't considered it. You know what I did? I went to Walmart. I bought a cheap carpet and I covered it in wood stain. And then I took a hose, I went outside and I made literal mud and I covered it in mud. And just to add some questionable stains, I put tomato paste on it, because that's what was in my pantry at the time. Tomato paste. And I did it all very last minute. And you don't need to see me do it, because you've seen me make enough things dirty, and it's fine. Okay, it's fine. I forgot. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right. You're getting iPhone POV now. I only have one camera that I use to film and photograph with, so obviously when I'm taking the photo, I can't film that process, so this is what you get.
This would have been much easier to do literally anywhere other than my incredibly small house, but car rides give Katara anxiety, and I was already going to be putting her in a costume, so, you know, there was only so much pain I'm willing to inflict on her in one day. I put 2 regular LED lights at the back that would recreate the sun shining through the windows. For the walls, I thought after having built the pieces of the set, I'd have a better system, but nope. I literally just used heavy household items, just like I did in the mock-ups. All right, for lighting, listen, I knew I wasn't gonna get this lighting. I honestly don't even own a blue gel to get this color. We're taking some creative liberties, okay? That's okay, it's fine. I played with it for a long time, but I ended up with this simple single strobe light with an octagon-shaped softbox. Now, in a very last-minute decision, as in the day before I shot this photo, I got scared the space would look too empty. In the scene, Pennywise uses his powers of manipulation to fill the room with clown statues. On such short notice, I knew I wouldn't find a bunch of clown statues, but I went thrifting and I did find a bunch of different glass and porcelain figurines. I figured it fit the vibe enough, and I even found 2 clowns, which made me think I was on the right track. Lastly, I took generic Halloween store spiderwebs and covered them in mud.
Dude, at no point did I expect mud to be useful once, let alone twice throughout this project.
It created an awesome effect that looked like webs had been sitting there for ages. And it just came down to working with the diva herself, and honestly, she did really great in her costume. It wasn't constrictive at all, which was great for her comfort level. And once we bribed her with some tuna, she was fine. My boyfriend did his best to pose her with the tuna as some guidance, and I snapped the photos as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we're still on the iPhone. Time to edit. So I took about 50 photos. You know what's really funny? It probably just looks like I'm looking at explicit photos because everything I'm clicking through is blurred right now. You can't see it till the end. You can't see it till the end. I'm creating suspense, okay? Suspense. You can't see the final product yet. Oh my god. Wow. I might have to show that one. That one's pretty. First of all, in pretty much all of these, she has this little tag that comes down. I don't really love the look of it. I'm gonna try my best to Photoshop this out because I feel like it really just takes you out of the photo when you see this. She has a little wig on, and this is the strap that keeps the wig on her. I don't love the way it looks. So I think those are the only changes I'm gonna make. And then I'll probably just edit the coloring a little bit, edit the lighting, I mean, and then I'll do some color grading. Yeah, we're just gonna put some finishing touches on it to make it look really good and enriched. So yeah. All right, are you ready? I'm ready. I've been in this pipe way too long. Here's the photo. 3, 2, 1.
Here is a before and after of the raw photo, so you can see some of the edits I did end up making and how the color grade I chose to make affected the overall image. I even provided my camera settings for all you super nerds out there. I don't know what the flash was at because I literally had it up so high I couldn't see the settings, so I just blindly adjusted it by guessing and checking. The rest of the information's there. Anyways, I hope you like the final product, and let me know how you think I did and if there's anything I could have done better.
All right, that's it. That's the photo. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I could talk about what I learned throughout this process. What? Nobody cares? Okay. Well, I mean, I am a YouTuber. I should promote myself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want any more updates, you should follow me on Instagram. My Instagram username is @SierraGeraldine.
Babe, her fans could be called stools.
What does that mean?
Like a stool, like a chair that has 3 legs.
Oh my god.